It starts over here. Birchas Kahanim Ketzad. We're going to, in the previous mission, we're going to about Birchas Kahanim that has to be B'Rosh HaKodesh. And we're going to whole Gemara the past few days about brachos and klolos. So now we're going to go different brachos. One of the brachos we're going to discuss today, we'll discuss the whole limud today will be about Birchas Kahanim. It says Birchas Kahanim Ketzad. The Medina Oima Oisa Shalosh Brachos. Out of the base of Migdash, you say three brachos. Each one is a separate bracha. Over Migdash, bracha achas. In the base of Migdash, they would say all three together, and they had something that they added, that they answered, that responded when they heard all three together. The Migdash, incidentally, before we go further, let me explain something. There was always a question in the Lubavitcher Sidurim, when we say the Birchas Kahanim Mishul, do we say B'cheinu B'bracha Mishreshes B'Torah HaKsuva, or do we say B'cheinu B'bracha HaMishreshes B'Torah HaKsuva Hadem Moshavdecha? Okay, so in the Olden Prince, I once showed it here in Shul. In the Olden Prince, there was some prince that had it one way, and some prince had it another way. But there's a letter from the Rebbe, for the according to that, a very short letter. It's in the back of Kudas Sefer, if I remember, Chav Daled, that the Rebbe says that you have to say B'cheinu B'bracha HaMishreshes B'Torah HaKsuva Hadem Moshavdecha. The question is, what does it mean HaMishreshes B'Torah? Why do we say HaMishreshes B'Torah? So I once saw that the reason is this mission over here. Because in the Torah it's Mishreshes, but not all over did they say all three together. In the Torah, all three are together. Like we're going to hear in the Mishnah, in the Beis HaMikdash, they said it all in one bracha, and B'Gvul, they said it three brachas. So that's why you emphasize it's Mishreshes B'Torah HaKsuva Hadem Moshavdecha. Okay, that's the Chagav. Now he says, B'mikdash Omes Hashem Kiksavai. They said the Shem is written Yud Kei Vav Kei. I don't want to say the word, but there's a group that call themselves the witnesses. The witnesses, they said the J, that the word that they have, that's the Shem Kiksavai. So we don't say that, but in the Mikdash they did. Ub'Medina B'Kinuyeh. And out of the verse, we said Shem Adnei, not Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. B'Medina Kahanim Noisas Kapeyim Keneged Kosfeyim. They hold their hands like level with their shoulders. Ub'Migdash Agab B'Roshem. In the Mikdash they raise their hand above their heads. Chutz mi Kohen Gadol, except the Kohen Gadol, she'ein makbi es yodav b'maylam min hatzitz. He can't raise his hand above the tzitz.
That's why they had the 3 steps by the Menorah.
Huh?
That's why there was 3 steps by the Menorah.
That's right, yeah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Av Kohen Gadol Magbiya Yodav V'Maylam Min HaTzitz, Shenema, because we find by Aaron, who was the Kohen Gadol, Vayisa Aaron Es Yodav El Ha'am Vayvachem, Shei Vayisa, so he raised it above, what's Vayisa? Above the tzitz. Something more. Tana Rabbanim, Shaitan Pasuk Koysa Baruchu, B'Lashon HaKodesh. Atan B'Lashon HaKodesh, Eina Ela B'Chol Lashon. So the Gemara answers, Nem Makan Koysa Baruchu, V'nem Lahalan by Grizim and Evel, Elu Yamdu L'Varech HaSo'am, and Malahalan B'Lashon HaKodesh, have come B'Lashon HaKodesh. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Ein Tzarech, you don't need a limud from someplace else.
Says it straight.
Harehu Aimer Kai, Ad Sheyomer B'Lashon Hazeh. If you remember in the previous mission, we had a question related to Chalitza, if it says B'Lashon Kodesh or not. So Rabbi Yehuda also said over there, because it says Kocha. And the Gemara said, wherever it says Kaya or Kocha, it means Dafke this way. Tanya Yidach, we went another Braisa. Kaisa Varachu, what does that mean? Ba'amida, the Kohen has to stand. Atayim Ba'amida, Afil B'Yeshiva, maybe you could do even sitting. Zak the Gemara, Nemakan Kaisa Varachu. So Malahalan Bamida, Afkan Bamida. Reb Nosson Aimer, Harei Ein Sotah. You don't need a raya for someplace else. From here itself, you can know why. Harei Aimer, Lishos Uvarach B'Shmoi. The job of the Kohen was to serve and to bench in the Eibishter's name. So we'd say, Ma Mishares or Mishras is Bamida, just like the Kohen has to do as a standing, Af Mevorach is Bamida. How do we know that the Kohen was doing the avodah? Why can't he? Maybe he can sit down and do the avodah. So the Gemara, the Ksiv Shem Pasuk, Lamoid l'shareis. Lamoid means to stand and to serve. Tanya idach, you write a different brayso. Kais avaruchu b'nesiyas kapayim. You have to raise your hands. Atam b'nesiyas kapayim. You're saying that Kais avaruchu means that you have to raise your hands. Maybe you don't have to raise your hands at all. You got to give the bracha. So the nema kan kaisavochu. V'nema hal vayisa aron es yodav eloham vayivorchem mala hal mesiz kapayim afkam mesiz kapayim. So the Gemara, if you're learning from Avzei Kasha, Rabbi Yonasan. Rabbi Yonasan had a question. What was his question? Why don't you also say imala halan b'koyin gadol v'reish chodesh v'avodah siba afkan b'koyin gadol v'reish chodesh v'avodah siba? Over there, what was the story? Over there, it had to do by Vahim Yom Hashmini. There was the Chanukah Mishkan. So the Chanukah, it started by Yom Hashmini, and it went for 7 days. And the eighth day, then later Moshe took off. But all that Rashi brings over there Chumash, Oisa Yom Noto Asara Ataris, and so on that day, state this pasuk that Aaron benched the people. So that day was a Chodesh. That day they were Makav Kabbanas Siba, and that day it was Aaron the Kohen Gadol. So maybe the whole Biras Kahanim is only if you have all these three things together. Otherwise, you don't do Biras Kahanim. So the Gemara. We don't. There's no question because who ubanav. State by the Kohen who does the avodah is who ubanav. B'meila kol hayomim. So makish banav loy. Mahu v'nesiyas kapayim. Avbanav v'nesiyas kapayim. Just over him. The question, maybe only then you need the nesiyas kapayim, but otherwise you don't need. So you say that we learn it out from Aaron. And the Iskish Bracha L'Shedes, that we know that you have to have Ba'amidah. V'tanya Idach, we're going to another brayso. Kaisavach says, so, B'Shema Mefayrish. That you should have the Shema first, the Yud Kei Vav Kei. So the Gemara Atam B'Shema Mefayrish, you're saying that you're going to B'Shema Mefayrish, Eina Ela B'Kinu, maybe it means another name of the Hebrew. There are 7 names. Who says this name? Talmud Leimer, V'samu Eshmi. So we say Shmi HaMiyuchad, my special name. So the Gemara Yochel Af B'Gvulin Cain. I would think we said before that in the Beis Hamikdash they did it that way, but B'Gvulin not. In fact, the Gemara Yochel Af B'Gvulin they should also be Shema Mefayrish. Nemak Kan V'samu Eshmi. V'nema halam losen eshboy shom mala halam bebeis abchira avkam bebeis abchira. Rabbi Yashaim ain't a tzarach. Why not? Harei u'ayme b'chol makom asher aska shemi avelecha v'eraticha avelecha. So practically Gemara b'chol makom. Every place you could mention the Eibishter's name. That doesn't sound right. Ella. Mikras Mesurasu. This pasuk is not properly in order. You have to change it around a little bit. B'chol makom asher ova elecha u'berachticha isham aska shemi. So it's only in the Beis Hamikdash. V'hechen ova elecha u'berachticha. Where's Taka? I'm going to come. The Beis Hamikdash isham Ask Shmi, the base of Chir. Tanya, that we went to another brisa. Kaisavach say so. Ein Yel B'nei Yisrael. Gedim Nashma Vadim Mishachar Menheim. How do we? You have to bench them also. Talmud Rami said in Pasuk, Emor Lahem. Lahem means Lakut, all of them. Tanya, the Kaisavach Ponim Keneged Ponim. You have to face the Gehanim. Atayim Ponim Keneged Ponim. Ein Yel Ponim Keneged Eirev. Maybe you can stand, they stand, and you stand with your back to them. Talmud Reimer and Mor Lahem. Speak to them. So it has to be ka'odam ka'ayim ra'chaverim. When people speak one to another, they're facing each other. Tanya, either we went another breath. Kaisav Baruchu v'kodam. They have to raise their voice. Ein ela balachash. Maybe it means quietly. Talmud Reimer and Mor Lahem. When a person speaks to his friend, he doesn't whisper. He speaks loud that the friend should hear him. Otherwise, he'll say, I don't hear you. Speak louder. Omar Abaya, Naktinan, we have a rule, Vishnayim Kaida Kahanim. Ule'echod, Eina Kaida Kain. That means that this, when we have Birchas Kahanim here in Shul, so the Kain starts davening quietly. Then he gives a scream, Kayanim. Okay? So Gemara is saying now, when do you say Kayanim loud? Only if there's two Kahanim. What if there's only one Kayan? Then he doesn't scream loud, but they wait a little bit to give him time to reach Yivarecha, and then they start the bracha. And then later, right at the bracha goes the Kahanim. So he says, so they said, Naktinan, we have a rule, or we have a Kabbalah. Ishnayim Kaida Kahanim. If there's two, you scream out Kahanim. Why? Shenema Emor Lahem. Vishnayim. So the proper way, or the best way is that there should be two there. V'yom Rav Chisda, Naktinan, we have a rule. This is very interesting. Listen to this. Kayin, Kaide Kahanim. Who could be the chazan to say Kahanim? Only a Kayin. And the Ein Yisrael Kaide Kahanim. But if the chazan is a Yisrael, then he doesn't say Kahanim. Okay? It means, the way the Gemara is saying now is that Kahanim is like a group. Like, so a member of the group, one is talking to his people, like the Chazan is talking to his people, Kahanim, but who's the Yisrael to talk to them? But we'll soon say that's not so. Shenem Hashem Pasuk, Emor Lahem, Amira Mishul Lahem. It should come from them. So from them to Kahanim. Mishul Lahem, Tehei, it should be from them. The saying of Kahanim should come from them. So the Gemara. The hilchos of the halacha is kavosad abaya. Kavosad abaya means what we just learned now, that the shnayim we say Kahanim and the echel we don't. And abuvulas hilchos of kavosad abchisa. The halacha is not like abchisa that only Kahanim can say to Kahanim and not a Yisrael to Kahanim. Okay, let's go right to some. Omar Rabbi Shiur Levi. Rabbi Shiur Levi said, "Minayin shakadosh baruch hu misave lebirchas kahanim." Where do we know that the Eibishter desires or wants birchas kahanim? That the Moshe Nemer said, "V'somu eshmiya b'nei Yisrael v'aniya barachem." So from the word v'somu, it's sort of like he's asking them. There's someone they shall put. He's not like forcing them. He's asking them. So, and also Rashi explains that the Eibush is asking, put my name. In other words, it's for the birchas is for my benefit, not. It doesn't say it's not for the benefit of the Jews, but it's for me, for my sake. The Simmer the Eibishter wants it. V'yam Rabbi Shimon Levi. Kol kayin shemavarech mizbarach. The Rebbe always used to say that mavarech mizbarach. V'she'ein mavarech ein mizbarach. She'nem v'avocha mavarachecha. So you see that the one that benches gets gebenched. V'yam Rabbi Shimon Levi. Kol kayin she'ein oil duchen. A kind that doesn't go up to duchen. Oive b'shloisha esa. What's the 3 esa that he's over? Kaisa varachu, and Marlahem, and V'samwa Shmi. Rav says even worse. A kind that doesn't go to duchen, chayshishin, we're concerned, Shema ben Grusha bechalutzuhu. Maybe he's a apostle of Kahuna. So that the Gemara v'lei pligi. In other words, you have 2 things, but they both agree to each other. It just depends which kind we're talking about. And the Gemara explains, if a kind goes up from Yom Tovim and he doesn't, out of Eretz Yisrael, in Eretz Yisrael, they duchen every day. So we only duchen Yontif because it's a Yom Simcha. But in Eretz Yisrael, they duchen every day. So if there's a kind that only goes up Yontif and doesn't go every day, so you can't be chayshish that he's a ben grusha ben chol, because you see he goes on Yontif. But if one that doesn't, so him, but he's over on 3 essen if he doesn't go up. But otherwise, if he doesn't go at all, then you can be chayshish that he's a ben grusha chol. Something more. V'yam Rabbi Shimon Levi. Kol kain she'ein oiga ba'avoda, shuv ein oiga. When avoda is the part of the Shmoneh Esrei with Ritzei. So when the Chazan says Ritzei, the kain has to go up to duchen. We even start before. We start in the middle of the Musaf. But if he didn't go up by Ritzei, then he missed his chance. Shenama. Vayisa Aaron es Yodav Elohim Vayevorchem Vayered me'asois hachatas v'ha'oira v'ashromim Ma'ila halam ba'avoda. Over there, he was in the middle of avoda. Avkam ba'avoda. In fact, the Gemara, Eini, we know that this rule is not correct. Why is it not correct? Because v'horav Ami v'Rav Asi Salki, Rav Ami and Rav Asi they were Kahanim, and they went up after they started to say. And for the Gemara, Rav Ami v'Rav Asi me'kora havi okri karayu. They started, as soon as, by the time it says started, they started walking. And b'meila, aber mamata, like, havi moti, they didn't reach Hossam, they didn't reach there, it took them, they were some old people, it was difficult for them to walk. So they started, they left their place to go already by the side. And they based themselves on the Kedetani Rabbi, like Rabbi Taka learned, Lo Shonu, that if he doesn't go by the say, he can't go. Lo Shonu, El Shloi Oka Esragov. Of Oka Esragov is Oga. Utanan, we're going to another Mishnah. This Mishnah is talking about a question if the Kohen could be a Chazan. So, state is that Im after Chosei Shenai says Ragov, V'chayzer L'tfilosai Rashoi. Today you have the Achazonim that were Kahanim. You have Leibel Wasovsky, who passed away this week, was a Kohen, and he was a Chazan. So, what's the shot in this Mishnah over here? This one is talking in the time, Amol Gezeiten, they didn't have a Siddur. So the Chazan davened from the Oystervein. So now the Chazan starts singing, Yevrach, and they're answering, and back, and the Chazan could get for tumult, and he wouldn't know how to continue later. So the Mishnah says that Im Haftachosai, if he's sure, Shenai says Kappa v'chayzel t'filosai, is Rashoi. That's the din in the Mishnah. So V'avinam bo, we looked into this din. You said that the that goes to duchen has to start going up. I'd say the Chazan is standing by the Yom. He's not moving. So the Chasem L'Chayre, that you don't have to, that the whole din is not correct. And for the Gemara, Ella did not put over there. The Chazan moves a drop. He's supposed to stay on the stand, but he moves the drop. So that's like going up. So Hakinami, the Oka Pukta. It doesn't mean that you have to go all the way up and be on top, up on the bimah. But it say, but you have to start your movement. V'yom Rabbi Shiur ben Levi. Ein noisen koisha bracha. He's talking about benching, about bracha, about benching. So he goes also by benching in the meal. He says, Ein noisen koisha bracha el l'toiv ayin. Who do you give the honor to lead the benching? A toiv ayin, a person that has a good eye, a good-natured person. Shenem b'shetin person, toiv ayin hu yivayrach. Now, toiv ayin hu yivayrach means such a person should be gebenched. What does it got to do over here? So the Gemara, ekinos milachmer l'dal, because he gave from his food to a poor man. So the Gemara, tiki yivayrach el yivarech. Not he should be benched, but he should be the one to bench. Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, Rabbi Shiur ben Levi said, Minayin shafila oifis makirim b'tzarei ayin. Tzarei is a stingy person. He said even the birds or the fish, they could recognize if a person is a stingy or a person is generous. Shenam Hashet in Pasuk Kichinom Mezoyra Hareshes Be'ene Kol Bal Kanov. In other words, Kichinom is in order to catch the fowl, you throw out a net. How do you throw out the net? You put some food in it, and the fowl comes to take the food. But they could recognize if you gave a nice portion of food or you're very stingy. So it says that. So that's right. Kichinan, let me say again. Kichinan mezoyra hareshes. It's some zist that they threw out the net. Be'ene kol bal kanaf. Bal kanaf is like a bird that has wings. V'yom Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, Rabbi Shiur ben Levi said, Kol hanana mitzarei ayin. If you're having a noah, you're taking from a stingy person, is over belav, you're over belav, because the statement posher never said in pasuk, al tilchem eslechem ra ayin. Don't eat the food from a stingy person. Ki kamoi shah benafshay keinu oicha b'shoisa ushisay yemelach. What the pasuk means over there is, if a person is stingy and he's giving you food, so really he looks at you like you're eating his body, So
fundraisers are not worried about this.
Huh?
Fundraisers are not worried about this.
Well, what's it got to do with fundraising? They don't worry. They don't go to the stingy person. They go to the generous person. They don't waste the time with the stingy person. They also know who's stingy and who's going to give and who's not going to give.
They know better than the birds.
Yeah. So the Gemara and Rab Nachman said, "Oive b'shnei lavin, al tilcham v'al taso." V'yam Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, ein eglas arufa. The whole problem with Egla Rufa, in other words, that a person was out and he got killed. Why did he get killed? All because of
He had to go out. He didn't know what to
because of a stingy person.
Right.
What does it mean? Shneim Shtetn Posek, but the sheta that the ziknei should come out, and then they say they say Yodeinu L'Shofcha Sadam Hazeh. Frek the Gemara, V'chi Ola Alibenu. Also, shezikne bezin shefre dam. If you have to say it, is a simon that there was a reason to suspect it. So did the Torah suspect that the zikne era shefre dam that you told him to say it? Ella, it means to say lebol yedenu upatunu v'leirinu Patronu, V'Loirinu, V'Nichu. Another, he didn't come to taunt us, and we sent him away, and we didn't see. It means that this is. How does it happen to the Egarufim? The guy came to a place, and he's another man. So he's traveling. He doesn't have his home over there. So he comes to a place. He was hoping that he'll get a meal, and he didn't get a meal. So then he travels, and he gets into a fight with someone on the road over food and everything, and he gets killed. It's all because they didn't give him food to begin with.
Why is it always the rabbi's fault?
That's exactly what it is. It is Rabbi's fault. You have to mechanech the people differently.
Yeah, Rashi says that Klaimer, the Mazonis Hutzach, he needed food, and he didn't have. He saw someone that had food while he's on the road. And he comes, he wants to grab it away. And what happened is, in other words, but Tada says it was Pikuach Nefesh, because he's hungry. And what happens is and the person that he wanted to take away food. So it's all because he ended up by someone stingy and didn't give him food. How did he give him food? He would have never get involved in any problems on the road.
We have people get killed and it's not because.
Zot the Gemara. Rav Simloi. Basic Knesset, there's some interesting dinim here now. Basic Knesset Shekol Kahanim, if the whole minyan is Kahanim, is Kul and Eilen Leduchen. They all go up on the bima. All the Kahanim go up. So the fragrant Lamim Avachim. So who are they benching? Rav Zayda said, V'acheim Shabbos. They're giving a bracha to those people that couldn't come to shul. So their bracha gets on those people. It's not this way. Vatoni Abba Brei Derav Minyanim Bachia Am Shachayr Kahanim Einim B'Kal Bracha. That the people that are not facing the Kahanim, they don't get the bracha. So if the person is Basadas, they're not facing the Kahanim. So Timor Kasha is not Kasha. Ho the Anisi, Ho the Loy Anisi. Means what this said. The people that are Basadas and they couldn't come to shul, so they're Einaynis. The Eibusha wants that she get a bracha, so the Eibusha makes that the Kahanim's bracha reaches them. But if someone could have come to shul and he just is too lazy and didn't come to shul, so he's the Amsha Chayre Kahanim. He doesn't get a bracha.
Who says the Maybe they're facing the shul.
Frek the Gemara, Batani Rav Simi Mi Birta de Shechuri. Birta Shechuri means the capital, like Shushan Abira, from the capital of Shechuri. The basic Knesset Shul Kahanim, Mikzasan Eilen, or Mikzasan Einim Amen. So that's different than what we said before. Before we said that they all go up and they bench the Amsha Besadas. So the Gemara Kasha, Hod Ishtaya Bei Asara, Hod Ishtaya Bei Asara. The din is, it's a din of Shulchan Aruch also, that if the shul is only Kahanim, and there's, let's say, 15 Kahanim, not all 15 go up, then 5 go up, and the other 10 become the tzibur, and they answer Amen. Mashein Kain, and that a din is only by Kahanim. By Yisrael, if there's a shul, let's say, with 10 Kahanim and 1 Yisrael, then 10 Kahanim go up, and they bench the 1 Yisrael. But to bench the Kahanim, the bracha was really made for Bnei Yisrael, and well of Bnei Yisrael. Zot the Gemara, Tana we learned, Abba Brei Derev Minyanim Bachia. He said as follows: Am Sha'achayre Kahanim Einim B'Chal Bracha. That's what he said. What we just learned also the same thing. Practic Gemara Pshita Das ist doch Pashat. No, sag doch mal Pshita. This is Pashat. Ariche ba'ape gutzei. If you're standing in the shul and there's tall people and short people, aricha means a tall man and gutzei means a short man. So if the tall man is standing, is blocking the short man. So the Gemara, loy mafsiki. So that's not a hefsek. That's not called that they're not in front of the Kahanim. Tevo loy mafsiki. If there's a much like the table over here, there's a short man, that's not considered a hefsek. Because that's a part of the shul. What's the din? Mechitza might. What's the din if there's a mechitza? And he's on the other side of the mechitza, he's in the shul taka, but he's on the other side of the mechitza. Is that considered b'fnei a part of seeing the kahana? So the more Toshma, Dam Reb Shimon Levi, a fill of mechitza shel ba'azel, ein a Masechtas ben Yisrael Raviyim Shabbat. Even a mechitza shel ba'azel cannot be mafsek between Eden and the Eibishter. What if you're standing on the? You're not behind the kain, but you're standing on the side of the kain. You're on the same line with the kahanim. What is that considered behind, or is that considered in front? So the Gemara, Amma Abba Ma Ba Ravashi Toshma. That's not we learn. This is by the din of the mechatas, by the paradum. So you have to spray, you have to sprinkle the water on the person. So niskaven lahazas l'fonov, v'hizel achrov. If the person that the kain that's spritzing had in mind to spritz l'fonov, and he did it l'achrov, or l'achrov v'hizel l'fonov is azor pesula. That's possible. Aber l'fonov v'hizel tzudodim shebet fonov. So you see that if you're on a level with the Kahanim, that's not considered a Chayre Kahanim, that's kosher. Go weiter. Huh?
What do you do in this shul?
What are you doing this show?
Where the kind of face here?
Kind of stay there, and the people are here facing the Kahanim.
But the Gehenna
You have a chitas.